marginally. Let's bring up Godrej Consumer, and the management is with me right now. Vivek Gambhir, MD of GCPL, joins me right now. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I just want to get a sense of what happened. The numbers were great on your export, on your acquisition side, Africa market. But when I look at the domestic business itself, soaps, good volume growth, but not that great sales growth. When I look at dyes, not that great. In fact, pesticides, the insect business, the insect dealing business, that's done pretty badly.
Yeah. Good morning. And as you clearly mentioned, what's been quite good here has been a very strong profit growth story. A net profit growth of 18% has been driven by a good expansion in margins. Internationally, African particularly has done very well, and so has our recent acquisition. On the India side, let me try and put the numbers in context. We hopefully are seeing the bottom of growth in the FMCG sector. What ended up happening was this quarter, basically growth in the home and personal care sector was almost flat. And so we've been seeing growth deteriorate over the last 2 or 3 quarters for the industry. But this was one quarter where growth was almost flat to slightly negative. In that context, we delivered a 3% overall volume growth. So we did much better than the industry. And as you mentioned, what was clearly an adverse impact for us was the delay in the monsoon, which impacts our insecticides business. So insecticides did quite poorly. If you exclude insecticides, our volume growth was 13%, which is very healthy. The good news again is that as the monsoons have picked up over the second half of June and in July, we have seen the insecticides business get back on track. And so we still remain very hopeful and optimistic that you should see good growth in the second half of the year.
So in Q2, when I compare base effect, as you said, that when the monsoons pick up, obviously insects come out and you need insecticides. Household insecticides is one of your big part of your portfolio. Now, the base effect will come into play in Q2, that means? Because last year, then that means that there would have been a lower base in Q2, and this year we should see a higher base, higher growth?
Definitely, I think we do expect to even sequentially for Q2 to be better than Q1. As you mentioned, I think we will see a better performance from our insecticides business. Along with that, we've really intensified our focus on innovation. We've launched some very disruptive products in hair colors, in air fresheners, and we've also just recently launched a naturals range in our insecticides portfolio. And so the collective combination of, I think, slightly improved consumer demand along with new innovations should enable us to deliver a stronger Q2.
Obviously you don't look at things quarter to quarter. You look at it in terms of long-term strategy and how your business is doing. You look at partly daily and then in long term. What difference has the last few quarters made to your strategy?
I think what the last few quarters have done is, one of the things that I'm very proud of is how well we've managed our spends. And so we've continued to maintain a competitive level of spend in brand building. But along with that, I think any adversity makes us ensure that our operations are being as agile and adaptable as possible. So as I look at the P&L,
and how have you done that?
The P&L
just
today
break
is
it up in practical terms for our viewers. What have you done which reduced costs?
So one of the big initiatives we've launched has been called Project Pi. So we've looked at every single element of our value chain and our costs, and have tried to figure out how to try and make those elements of the cost be far more efficient. Second of all, there has been a huge investment in technology, both in terms of analytics and also in terms of how we run distribution. We run some major initiatives in distribution, giving handheld devices to our people on the street, the way we run analytics to be able to drive greater productivity. And so all these investments that we've made in improving our infrastructure and making it more efficient should allow us to drive much better sales growth as the economy improves. I think the biggest constraint we are seeing is consumer demand, As consumer demand starts improving with more jobs and more disposable income, I think we are in a very good position to further accelerate our performance.
So are you seeing any change in the last, let's say, few weeks on the ground for consumer demand?
Not yet. I think the impact of good monsoons should start translating from September, October onwards. Don't expect any material changes this quarter as far as consumer demand is concerned. A lot of our outperformance will be driven by our own agenda as far as innovations is concerned and our insecticides business. But at a demand level, I'm not seeing any changes in Q2, but certainly on the back of good monsoons, you will start seeing rural demand improve from September onwards.
All right, so the Q3, Q4 will get the major impact, you say?
Exactly. I think Q3 and Q4 should see a much major impact as far as consumer demand is concerned. And as you were alluding to earlier, that's also a little bit of a lower base, because if you look at last year, the slowdown really began showing up in Q3 and Q4. Q1 and Q2 looked actually reasonably okay. And so because of a lower base as well, for most companies, Q3 and Q4 should be much better than Q1 and Q2 this year.
Give us what's happening. Tell us what's happening in Africa, Latin America. You've acquired some companies. The performance has been very good. Is it because of the acquisitions coming into your overall top line and bottom line, or has there been organic growth as well?
On an organic basis as well, Africa grew at 14%. So very healthy growth organically in Africa.
And
certainly,
what
I think the acquisition. So in Africa, the business is primarily around hair care. Okay. So we're the largest player for hair colors and hair extensions. And now we've launched a full range of ethnic hair care products. That's the bulk of our business. The category is very underpenetrated. So huge opportunity for growth through brand building and distribution. And as we've integrated the acquisition over the last few years, we've really invested significantly in talent building and distribution. And those results are showing up as we speak. In Latin America, we are the largest hair coloring company in terms of market share in Argentina and in Chile. And so as we've invested in brand building, we are seeing good results. The watch out in Latin America always tends to be currency devaluation. That's something we have to remain a little bit careful about. But overall, generally, Latin America performance should also be quite good in the quarters ahead.
In fact, I was looking at the numbers. There have been some kind of forex gains that you've had, right? Constant currency gains seem to have been higher. Is that built into your model? Do you hedge? What do you do?
Generally, in terms of, I think, translation impact, there's not very much we can do in terms of absorbing the impact of translating foreign currency earnings into Indian rupees. In some quarters, we do see translation risks, and in some quarters there are gains, in some quarters there are losses. So we do look at our business on a constant currency basis. And the good thing is, if you look at our international growth, we had 18% growth last quarter on a constant currency basis.
Okay, let me focus a little bit on the strategy that you're focusing on. You said new products, new innovations. You know what this country is waiting for is a new product and innovation in dengue. I don't know if that is on your radar at all. I think even in Mumbai, where you're sitting, it's become a problem. So on a serious note, what are the new products? What are you looking at?
So, for us, the big thing is, first of all, in all the categories, we tend to what we call democratize the category. So really change the price value equation and offer very disruptive products at very affordable prices so that the middle class and the population can afford these products. And so if you look at hair colors, if you look at air fresheners, if you look at deodorants, across all of these three categories, we've launched some very game-changing, interesting innovations. Now in insecticides also, we've seen a consumer need for more natural products.
Take one of those up, deodorants. Now when one switches on television, they're the biggest, some of the biggest advertisers that you see in a lot of those channels. And many of them are actually small players who have huge turnover but relatively low margins. How do you break into that?
Yeah. So if you look at the deodorant market, over the last 2 or 3 years, the market penetration has been stagnating at about 11%. And the reason for that is that most deodorants are priced at over 200 rupees. A lot of deodorants contain alcohol, which irritates skin. And so a lot of consumers have said, you know, these deodorants don't last very long and they're extremely expensive. And so what we've done under the Synthol brand is launched a very disruptive deodorant cream in a tube for 69 rupees, which lasts 3 times longer than the typical deodorant. And that's an example of a very disruptive, you know, product, both in terms of quality and pricing. And so our hope again is, this is not about trying to take away share from other players, because penetration is still very low at 11%. This is about actually growing the market.
So are these aimed at tier 2, tier 3 towns? Are these aimed at tier 2, tier 3 towns?
Exactly, you know, and this is where the advantage of our distribution is very helpful, right? We reach almost 5 million outlets across the country. So over time, the strength of our distribution at a very affordable price point, along with a fantastic product, that's the combination where we believe we can really grow the market and grow our brands.
So is this something you make yourself, or is it outsourced and you package it yourself? What is the process?
Almost all our manufacturing is in-house. Sometimes we do rely on dedicated third-party manufacturers, but we believe very strongly in Make in India, and so all of our manufacturing is controlled by us.
So if I take this deodorant as an example, what kind of capacity do you have? What is the growth potential? What are you looking at?
See, this market is over 2,000 crores right now, and so our market share position is quite small. So in terms of, again, only time will tell, but the opportunity can be absolutely tremendous. I think it does require some changes in consumer behavior, which takes some time, but once consumers start using the product, what they tell us is they absolutely love it. So I wouldn't want to hazard a guess in terms of how big this category can be. But just to give you an example, when we launched our paper-based mosquito repellent Fast Guard, we reached about 100 crores in 11 months. Our Godrej Expert Creme, which was a very disruptive creme, a hair coloring creme in a sachet, that reached over 200 crores in 3 years. That's the kind of potential we see as far as the deodorant market is concerned.
All right. Anything that you're building up for the thing that almost every FMCG company is now preparing for, which is a potential hair color from Patanjali?
What we've just recently done is we've just launched a very disruptive no ammonia premium hair color under the brand Be Blunt, Salon Secret. That's going into the market as we speak. That's going to be our next big foray as far as hair colors are concerned. At a more mass end, we already have a lot of natural products with coconut oil, with henna. So we believe that our portfolio actually is one which gives consumers a lot of different choices in terms of what their needs might be.
All right, I'm being told I have to let you go. We've taken up too much of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks a lot and explaining your strategy. So that's Godrej Consumer Management speaking to us. The focus is all going to be on deodorants now, and they expect the household insecticide business to pick up and some base effect to come in. And towards the end of the year, consumer consumption to also go up. All right, time for a quick break, and after that, Rajiv Agarwal, he's the CFO.